Alright, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 most underappreciated cars in 2024. So starting this list off with the number 1 spot is the 2024 Mercedes CLE 53 AMG. So this car is powered by a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder pushing around 443 horsepower. It does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.2 seconds. And the reason why I say this car is underappreciated is not because it's new, that it just came out, but this thing competes with the BMW M440i and the Audi S5. And although this is more powerful than both of those cars, now the BMW M440i also uses a 3-liter inline 6 pushing around 382 horsepower, also known as the B58, and the Audi S5 also has similar performance numbers. It, I believe, pushes 350 horsepower, but most people prefer the old gen C-Class Coupe and E-Class Coupe. A lot of people aren't happy with Mercedes' decision to discontinue the C and E-Class Coupes and convertibles and replace them with the CLE. Now this car has a pretty clean interior. It has AMG bucket seats, the 2nd-gen bucket seats. Now this one has the suede Alcantara with red stitching, and you have carbon on the dash. Then you also have a flat bottom AMG steering wheel, digital gauge cluster, but the only thing that I just don't like is this screen over here. I just don't like the iPad style screen. Other reasons why people don't like this is because A, they think it's ugly, or they think it's too slow. Now, it does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.2 seconds. Now, that's not bad. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you have a car that does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.2 seconds, you are actually faster than 75% of the people on the road. Now, the performance numbers on it aren't that bad. It's only a 53, and 53s are kind of the middle ground in AMG's lineup. Like 43s are entry level, 53s are middle ground, and 63 and 63S models are the more high end, like the top of the line models. The next car on the list is the Mercedes E53 AMG. Now you can get this in a sedan, coupe, convertible, or a wagon. Now that's all personal preference on which one you want to get. I personally like all of them, especially the wagon. Now, at first, I didn't even know that this existed. This is quite a rare car. They only made a certain of these for a short period of time, then they discontinued it. Now, this car also has a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, but in this car, it's pushing 429 horsepower. Now, the CLE 53 pushes 443 horsepower. This pushes 429 horsepower. It's the same 3-liter inline 6 with a mild hybrid system, and in this case it's pushing 429 horsepower. So 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is done between 4.4 seconds and 4.5 seconds, that depending on if you have the coupe, convertible, wagon, or sedan. And the reason why I say this car is underappreciated is because this car competes with cars like the BMW M550i and the Audi S6. Now, both those cars are amazing, and this thing is also pretty amazing. But however, out of those two, this is kind of slow. Now, the BMW M550i uses a V8, which is pushing horsepower in the 500s. And it's the same thing with the Audi S6. I think it's a 6-cylinder. I'm not too sure. You guys could correct me in the comments about it if it's a 6-cylinder or a V8, but it's also pushing horsepower in the 500s. Although this may have 429 horsepower, there's still none to be like slept on. This thing will gap most cars on the road. Another reason why this doesn't get as much love is because its big brother exists, the E63S, which is a much more powerful sedan pushing 603 horsepower and has a AMG hand-built 4-liter twin-turbo V8. However, there's one thing that I never understood is that why didn't Mercedes ever make an E63S coupe? Now, we have the C43 coupe, we have the C63S coupe, we have the S63 coupe, we have the S65 coupe. We've had like coupes before, the CLK55, the CLK63, the CL65, but why didn't they ever make an E63S coupe? That's one thing that kind of just disappoints me. I swear if they made an E63S coupe, that thing would have like sold crazy. The next car on this list is the Mercedes CLS 53 AMG. This car also uses the same 3-liter inline-6 paired up with a mild hybrid system, and it also pushes 429 horsepower, and the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is 4.5 seconds. This car is very similar to the E53, but there are certain things that differentiate this from the E53. This thing may have the same interior as the E53, such as the steering wheel, digital display, dashboard, center console. However, the thing that differentiates this from the E53 is that this is a Grand Coupe. Now, the reason why I say this is underappreciated is because most people prefer the CLS 63 AMG over this, the W218 CLS 63 AMG. Now, with the W219 generation, they did not make a CLS 63 AMG. They discontinued and killed the CLS 63 in 2018 and replaced it with the AMG GT 4-door coupe. And other reasons why people don't really like this thing is because they basically say that it's a Grand Coupe version of the E53. Now, it pretty much, yes, does have the same interior as the E53, but there are certain things in this interior that isn't available in the E53 interior, such as you can get it in two-tone and different individual colors, such as you can get this in a full white interior, which you can't with the E53. You can spec this thing out pretty crazy. Now, I personally like this. It's a very unique and underrated AMG you can buy right now, especially since they discontinued it. They said that they won't be making the CLS anymore, so right now is a perfect chance to get this car since it's on a huge discount right now. Most dealerships are giving it off $15,000 to $30,000 discount, because since no one's really buying them. So if you're in the market for a CLS 53 right now, might be the best time to get one. The next car on this list is the Mustang Shelby GT350R. Now, this is my personal favorite muscle car, because this thing has a 5.2 liter V8 pushing around 526 horsepower with a 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time in 3.9 seconds. And the reason why this doesn't get as much love and appreciation is because people would rather buy a Scat Pack over this, or it's because the Mustang Shelby GT500 exists. Now, the Mustang Shelby GT500, don't get me wrong, it's a crazy car. It also has a 5.2 liter supercharged V8 and it's pushing around 760 horsepower. However, this thing is also nowhere near to be slept on. This thing is still pushing a healthy 526 horsepower, which is pretty good for a car this size. And the other reason why people don't really like this car is because it only comes in a manual. However, that's what makes it more fun to drive. The last car on this list is the Lexus LC500, and this, I feel like, is the most underrated sports car on the market today. This car uses a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. Now, it's pushing 472 horsepower, and the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is 4.7 seconds. Now, this car may not be fast, but it's all about the driving experience, because regardless if you drive it fast or slow, it's still a very fun car to drive. And it has the nicest sounding exhaust that I've seen on any Lexus. Now, this engine is also used in the Lexus IS500 F Sport and the RCF, but I don't know what Lexus did, like how they tuned this, but on this car, this sounds really nice. However, not many people are buying this car right now, and it's because there are much faster cars than this in this price range. But regardless of all that, I still believe that this is one of the most underrated and nicest sports cars that you can buy on the market right now. I mean, just look at this interior. This interior is really nice. However, people may say that Lexus is outdated, and yes, that is somewhat true, but they follow the principle of if it ain't broke, then why fix it? However, for 2024, they have made some changes to this car, such as they removed that touchpad over there and made the screen touchscreen. They added Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and before, when you would like to turn on your heated seats, you would have to go into the infotainment system and then you'd be able to turn on your heated seats. It was like a long and lengthy process, but now it's much more simple and easy. Anyways, that's all it for today's video. Follow for more car content.